5 minutes break. So that equally for everyone will have 5 minutes break. And maybe you can solve that clock to the last bit as well. If you solve the clock, you see how many.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
That's good practice. Because 3 also for this group, and I think that is a good idea. It makes them become more stressful.
We have the clock which is still last.
But this time, 3 we can have a quick spin on clock.
Chính sự sao ta? Cái bài quan trọng rất là phone ghi với thảo mơ mất thành vi sinh của ông. Như là em nói là nó có dịch nó có hai điểm là ai với giờ với Nga là thay đổi với người là thay đổi thì nó sẽ là số dương số âm chứ không phải nó đây là trừ nó số dương số âm nên chỉ đến cái đó chỉ đến thôi là chỉ là nếu mà nó cả hai điểm chưa thông đó có
Then 3 more minutes break so that you can refresh our mind.
phải xử lý cái mình được phải xử lý cái biết cho mình anh không phải xử lý anh xài đúng cái đó phải qua là với GPT làm đơn giản cũng biết là cái đó là đơn miễn thị các anh chắc là phải làm gì bước không thì cái là các bài của anh thì chúng tôi là cái này nó bước nghe cái này anh tính nghe đúng rồi đây là tổng đó giờ 4 cái này thì nếu mà cái nào mà nó trái dấu này hai này đang đúng cái số 2 với số 3 là đang đúng thì tính 50% vậy thôi nhưng máy tính nó tự tính em chỉ đặt điều kiện là nếu như mà hai cái đó nếu như thằng E lớn hơn không mà vàng V với không thằng E với không V với không tại trong bài này nó còn hay hơn cái điều nó cẩn thận là nó có trường hợp bằng không thì hai thằng đều phải bằng không hết là được thì là nó đúng thì nó sẽ coi là consistent thì nó sẽ đặt cái dấu nó đặt cái cột mới thì nghĩa là cột consistent hay không thì cái điều này là có sẽ không cái này không phải hai cái dấu cùng dấu không phải này viết để xong điểm số 1 chứ điểm số 0 nếu là nó điểm số 0 thôi em nó tự chạy ra luôn mà tại vì kêu nó ra là nó để em tát cái biến luôn em tát cái biến ở lòi ra cái bảng nó luôn còn thầy kêu là phải chạy reflection xuống để cái gì nữa là mèo lên nhảy lên cà phê giống như có cái thanh đòn này nè anh đứng như này nhìn cái chăm chú luôn nhìn
nhỏ đó không dám nhận ngẩng đầu lên
hay thế nhưng mà sao nó không chiếu điện thoại bị chỗ khác này wow hay quá
tại vì đèn sáng nó đang không sáng được
cái gì vậy trời hay quá nãy cũng nói được một chút em mới đọc rồi em cũng không có thuộc miệng mà không ngờ lên nó cũng chung
anh nhớ nhầm điểm chứ công nhận em nhảy ghê
em bắt cái flow của anh em ráng nhớ cái flow em nghĩ trong đầu em đang là process
bé này mà không đi làm research mà nó đi làm diễn viên nó improvise là đỉnh lắm luôn
cũng đi làm diễn viên luôn
nhớ lời thoại nhanh lắm á
nếu làm diễn viên thì đóng vai ác ngoài đời không được đóng vai ác đóng vai ác là cái đứa nó sẽ không bao giờ biết cái đã
trời ơi
mà tí nữa nó hỏi cái vụ xích mày nè
sao không chị đã chuẩn bị sẵn rồi để chị show nguyên cái bản lên cho nó đọc
hỏi đi em ok show đi em sửa chưa có sửa chưa không sửa
sửa không sửa
thiệt luôn
không sửa mà
vậy là anh chị sẽ nói là đây là cái xích 2 của tụi tao xích là group 3 IC curve, IS curve.
Tại sao đẳng cấp
Xin ký
đây thôi không có nhiều
Ừ.
đẳng cấp chỉ
Cái đó.
nói qua từ này thôi.
Tùy thôi, chị em muốn là sigma hay là muốn là gamma thì nó là như vậy thôi. Quen cái server rồi là
Em nhớ cái elasticity of substitution là cái gì rồi? Dạ mấy cái tí nghiệm của nó thì em nhớ em sẽ hỏi anh. Đây là
Chứ cố cho thấy không?
anh biết không? Substitute là gì? Cái đó là slide của hai của anh mà anh biết trình độ.
đúng rồi.
Em hỏi lại là vậy.
Không, em nói là can you open slide number 2? I want to see number 2. I love your equation.
Luôn á, anh học vẹn luôn á.
Nhớ cái IS là gì không? Là xài hay là phải accept recipe chỉ hỏi dẫn chưa bằng chấm. Substitution là xài hay là nghiệm vậy thôi.
Tự nhiên là xài rồi.
Không, cái đó là không, cái đó là xài. Không xài.
Tôi phải hỏi đầu tiên đồng đội.
Không có nha.
Mình nói trơn cháo này đi.
Hư tính là ổn đúng không?
Sao mà nó ốm cái mặt
Dạ,
sẽ
thường áo lạnh không biết là cụ thể là ổn.
Ở đây đồ mất hồn về là đồ xúc để linh hồn.
giống kiểu mấy mèo á, thường không bấm thì nó copy bấm xong cái nó nhìn rồi lại
Không, chỉ biết là để lên tại vì cái style nó rất dài. Cái áo này kiểu như nó cái style nó dài mà.
We would like to present our empirical analysis on the estimating the elasticity of intertemporal substitution by the evidence from the BCD consumer security surface. So let's start with the theoretical background. So we choose the household consumption to satisfy the intertemporal Euler equation with assumption like also using the CRA reference with the EIS sigma. By linearize, we see the expected real spending growth. The expected spending growth here is negative related to the expectation. The effective inflation. By this, we just put three research questions here. So first one is what is the magnitude of EIS for the euro area also using the subjective expectation. And second one is the controlling or expected income growth change, the estimated EIS, and the last is how stable and the EIS estimates across pre-expectation and probability check. And by this framework, so we use the data high frequency macro data on euro area consumer perception, expectation and economic choice, and the survey and this data is conducted by the also with the like the online only, and it started with 6 countries here, so you can see like the Dutch, Spain and France, and it's extended in to like 5 more countries in 2022, and so we process this data based on the paper and with the data tracker here. So you see the micro data come into different models with snapshot. So actually we focus more on monthly data. And yeah. So linking background file to the other module. So we use this file name as the respondent ID to encode to track individual across the way and files. And this ID is survey routes way to allow its answer to the same interview moment. So and then we merge the data set by these two files. By these two, the ones of monthly file is designed to combine with the regular month file in the same way. And for variable calling convention, so here we have listed like each variable includes short-term data type here, and data type just focus on the string memory and categorize, and also some specs on negative value for the non-response we can see on the data set. And yeah, and many analyzers already use and constructed in the survey. So like age group derived from the first day, some income measure derives from the brackets open answer. And so let's see the our empirical strategy to estimate from the theory to the regression here by locally derive the equation. That implies a slope in negative sigma on expected inflation. Therefore, in the regression, the LFS, the intertemporal distribution is equal to sigma, and also it's like negative beta here. So we will analyze the panel by move the monthly module and the background also, and construct the key development expectation variable with the key variable. And our identify allocation strategy by the fixed effects within any given way. So nominal rate, macro movements, and absorb. So cross household differences in perceived rates mainly come from different in inflation expectation. So with the equation here, so we the standard error listed at the respondent level, and also we have the same like at the spec, which will compose and individual spec and wages. So let's next with
Yeah, just quickly go through for the key variable coding. So for our key variable, we're looking at the 12 months ahead expectations. So for inflation expectations, the variables that we take from the survey is a C1120, which is the numerical point forecast of expected inflation. And for the expected nominal household income growth, we have do like a bit of a special treatment here, because for this variable here, it is available in the ECB data, both the point and the bracket format. So for our construction group, we will take the point forecast, which is the numeric percentage, if it exists, right? And if there's no numeric point forecast, then we will look through and look for the alternative. And what is the alternative? First, we will use the qualitative questions to detect whether this is an increase or decrease. And once we know that direction, we will compute the mean based on the probabilistic, which is the bracket answer of the C350. So once we know the expected income growth and expected nominal income growth and expected inflation, we can compute the expected real growth, which is quite straightforward. And this is the variable that we need to use to control for the excess sensitivity cases, which is also mentioned in the other two literature. So for the next one is for the expected nominal spending growth. Again, for this particular variable, is available both in the points and the bracket format. So we use a very similar procedure to handle this expected nominal spending growth. If there's a point forecast, then we will take that. If not, then we will use the bracket. So once we know the expected nominal consumption or the spending growth, again, this is very straightforward to compute the expected real spending growth. Basically, we just take the expected nominal spending growth minus the expected inflation. Here I will mention also just one of the key data handling issues that we face. The issue here for us is that inflation expectations sometimes are given as a density forecast, which is a probability across different mean and not a single number. And in the structure of the ECB data, they change. There's one period where they change the structure from the 8 mean to a newer 10 mean. And also for data quality assurance, we also need to ensure that the total probability will need to sum up to 100. So for us, our solution is we just use for the density forecast, we try to compute convert it to the next two moments. The first moment is the weighted mean and weighted mean average, and the second moment is the weighted variance, or is also reflect the uncertainty. And when we have these two things, right, then in our pipeline, right, we will just consolidate it into two variable: the inflation density, which is the mean, and the inflation expectation uncertainty. These two things will be used for robustness check when we actually replace the point forecast of expected inflation with these two later on.
So about the data handling, we noticed that we need to consider is the outliers, because you know that the CES is the survey, so there are a small number of the respondents that respond their extremely low or high value for the extremely low or high for inflation, income, and spending expectation. So that we did not solve this, so the extremely value can distort our average and also utilize in our forecasting result. So the solution for this we apply. The solution is applying the sales specific truncation. And for this, we define the cell based on the country and across the country, because the dispersion between the country is also important and noticeable. And for itself, so we will compute the value for 2.5 and 97.5% for each expectation variable, and then we will truncate the observation out of that range and corresponding to the threshold. And so this is summarize our application. And the next problem is the survey weight, because the CES is survey sample, so the respondents may not perfectly represent for the population. So we need to be cautious when using this data. And first, we use the weighted population for the distributive and cross-country statistics. But for our main fixed effect regression, we use the unweighted data, because the identification is within the individual variation. So now that's just our data, and now move to the result. We have three models, and across the specification, we have the expected inflation entered to the Euler equation by negative and highly significant here. And when we control more on expected real income growth, you can see that it's just reduced slightly for the expected inflation. And for here, the minus here, this indicate that our EIS elasticity of intertemporal substitution is falls between 0.65 and 0.78. That's our EIS result. And when controlling for the real income growth, it just slightly reduced, and the result is stable across the wave and country fixed effect. And we also make the comparison with the current reference paper. And our baseline EIS here for our baseline model is 0.68. You can see closely to the landmarks estimated for the Euro area household. And when we is controlling for the income, expected income, so it just slightly reduced. But when compared to the US dividend, it appear weaker because although it's appear weaker, but it's confirmed that there is the robust for the robust model for the Euro area household when we modeling. So that is all our result using the current data, and I summarize all the conclusion here. And finally, we admit that we have some three main limits that we did not go through. First is that we did not explicit the demographic controls like the age, education, income, or wealth. That is potentially masking in the ES that we did not separate the impact. And the next is we use the point forecast data for inflation expectation. We added that we try to use the density base to as the robustness for our model, but we have the real results, so we dropped and didn't show here. And finally, we did not have time to make more robustness exercise, like try another alternative truncation rules or IV's approach or another. So that is all limited for our study. And so I just mentioned that our study can interpret as a baseline result, and it's also meaningful for the study. Thank you for your listening.
This time. Oh,
Yeah.
you have 1 more minute.
Yeah, around 2 minutes.
Oh, very good. Any comments or questions from the class?
I think the slides really good.
Yeah. So one comment with the slides beautiful.
Yeah, I really can. Yeah, thank you for your opinion. So please, do you have any questions? I already.
I really like the way that this your first present, everything was clear. I just want to ask, like, we estimate the magnitude of that, but can you interpret that into like normal language? For example, like you find that if it's the elasticity of substitution is around 0.68, so what does it mean? And what is the importance of finding this one?
Very good question. One minute is good.
Actually, your questions is about the meaning of the elasticity of intertemporal substitution. The meaning, and as I remembering, that is the exchange from consumption today, and the value of the one the federal elevation about 0.68 point. This is the point of the point, the percentage point.
So is it right if I say that if I say 68 cents today, and the next period I will have $1?
I think for us, for the speed question, if you can back to the equation,
Yeah.
yeah, or even the previous equation in the theoretical model. One slide before, one or two slides before. Yeah, I think the first one, yes,
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
So you can explain about the trends in inflation expectation on the expected spending growth, right? And the sigma here, it reflects how much inflation expectation change is influence the expected spending growth, right? And here is in real terms of expected real spending growth, how it reacted to the change in inflation expectations through the sigma here. So the sigma reflects the strength of the impact of inflation expectation or real interest rate expectation on the expected real spending growth,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So exactly the meaning of sigma is, or we can estimate that parameter, right?
That's the percentage point, not the absolute value.
Yeah. It's about the react of the change in inflation expectation on the expected change in real spending growth, right? And the next question is why it's important, right? Why it's important? Because you know that the sigma here or parameter sigma here is important in all typical models, in ESG model, right? So we have to estimate sigma, and then in many typical model, in the calibration model, they just put sigma, just one, right?
Yeah.
They put sigma here just simply equal one. But now you can estimate and to find that sigma is different from one, right? And now you can solve the table regression in the table of the results here. Yeah. So in the tables here, I think it's a very good point that you also estimate and check whether the sigma here is different from one or not, right? So it's a new in the new aspect compared to the literature. They also estimate that, but it's not so specifically or explicitly in the table, right? Draw regression, right? So you also check whether the estimation here is different from one or not. And why do I check this one? Why we want to check this one? Because in many calibration models, typical model, they just use the sigma equal one. Right? Any other comments or questions?
You want to ask us question or you want to ask some more questions?
Yeah, and also the paper here, you compare the results of your result with other paper. I think it's very clear and consistent as well. So I think it's very good one paper, but you can compare the results quite well. As a group also very well in this aspect, so we can compare the paper or at least our results with the existing literature, right? In only one paper. And now the group, the first group, now you can see that how they produce paper like this one, right? And we are in group or in class, you can learn from each other how to make a table like this one from the regression.
And this is the most comprehensive presentation.
Yeah, and also regarding to the first part, you present very detailed about how to read data, how to merge different data sets, and the methodology as well. I think for our class, it's good to know about that. But for example, when you present in a conference, for example, you don't have to go in very detail how to read the data, except when the data is very complicated, and then you have to those different data sets from different sources. So that's why you have to explain how you handle the data. But the data here is quite clear and it does some information for the user how to read the data, but it's from only one sources. It's very clear instruction already. So you just maybe just one police point or each point how to read the data. Data. For example, how to read the data set. I think that is important to explain to the conference presentation. In our class, it's good, but in conference, it's not so important. And how to even the first set up in one line that you is to the top 2% and bottom 2%, and you also consideration about the different ways and also country specific extra and that is demand. And also how you deal with and handle the data. So that in one slide you can summarize both things about the data description, and then you have more time to talk about the results, for example, and more time to talk about something you want to do in the future. So instead of talking about limitation, you now just I think it's good in class, but here the tips, and to make your work is more.
Scope for future.
For the future, that will say that is a to-do list. Something we already recognize, but we will have time now to work on that. But in the future or in the next step, in our paper, we will look at the demographic to see whether we are still focused, or we want to study some heterogeneity regarding to different household, high income and low income, they have similar electricity or not, right? Or where we want to see that different countries that have different parameters of electricity. That is something in your to-do list. So in this case, the audience will not ask you about what you about different aspects. Right? And that is the tip that we can add at the end presentation, that something we or to-do list or something we want to do in the future. Or even to talk about, for example, in cause effect. It will say that in our paper we don't have some interesting variable, but we plan to do. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what your plan, right? So that the people also have some idea that they also recognize the importance of estimate some cause effect or the causal parameter here, right? But in this case, there's clear concerns or question or doubt from the audience observation. And that's it. Next week.
So, may I have a question? In order to make a table like the table 1, did you simply use Excel or did you use Stata?
No, like this. You run the full regression table, right? And generally, after they run the full regression table, there will be always a step whereby we try to export it out. In the previous class, we talked about, for example, and we export it out. Maybe now from the data format, you export it out to Excel or to Word file. Is step number 1. Here is we go further to another notch. It's not we extract everything out. We only select relevant part, and then we already have another template. So basically, we create a kind of pipeline whereby once we run the full regression table, only selected result will be imported into that preset template for us.
So there must be intermediate steps.
So it's not intermediate, but in Stata, we also have some comments that we can select some few key variables. So maybe in the regression here, they also have many, for example, ways effect and effect, demographic and demographic, but we just select the key parameter in the regression model to report in the table. So all these things, if you look at some replication paper in the assignment, I already upload both Stata file, the do file, so that you can also export the table like this one.
Yes, and so after you export them to Word file or Excel file, so you use LaTeX, right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very good. So now we have this book